everyone is talking about around the world this morning. Hold on a second here. There you go. Let me try this.
Entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Let's play that again so everyone hears it.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Not only that, but there was no booze.
No, that was to a
There was no booze.
Uproarious cheer.
Yeah.
And is he Bob Dole now? Because remember how Bob Dole used to speak in third person? Now he's speaking in third person.
We have Trey Harden.
If Donald Trump hadn't have said that, this would have been the offensive comment of the day.
Maybe in certain areas, closing that internet up in some way. Somebody will say, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. These are foolish people.
So now he wants to close down the internet, too. Trey Harden, ABC News political analyst. Good morning, Trey Harden.
Good morning, McGraw and Kelly.
It would be somewhat hysterical if it weren't so serious.
Yeah, I mean, what's the most serious element about it is that I would be willing to bet you a beer or whatever you want that he will get a bump with Republican nomination voters. You know, the reason was because contrast to this current president, and that appeals to a lot of voters, Republican voters right now, and he also represents, or he's feeding an anger that is legitimate and it really exists out there. I would be willing to bet that there's a lot of people in this country, even if they wouldn't admit it publicly, that feel the way he does, that support what he says, many who probably would say it publicly. And so I fully suspect that he's going to get a bump from it. You know, he's got some very interesting support in voters. They're not the most traditional, I don't think. So that's why it's really difficult to see how he's going to do. We won't know until, for example, Iowa. Will his voters actually leave the House and go to the caucuses and actually participate and vote, as opposed to just sitting in front of the TV, in front of Fox News, or and being angry all day? So that the proof will be then.
It's outright condemnation from many within his own party and many who are running against him for president. Jeb Bush called him unhinged. Others have called him downright dangerous. Is this still kitschy, or have we crossed over into a more serious issue with this?
Oh, I don't think we've crossed over into a more serious issue with this. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, what are we going to do? Arrest him, or is he going to be, lawsuits filed against him for hate crime? I don't know, maybe so. I mean, I would think that's ludicrous as well. I mean, it's, it's how he feels, and he's clearly playing to a voting base, and obviously he doesn't make much sense when he makes these comments just on a common sense level in terms of what is realistic to do. I mean, the internet comment you just played is a perfect example of that. But these Republican candidates have no other choice but to try to create a wedge or show that he is truly unfit to be president of the United States. The problem is, for them, that's irrelevant to his support in voters right now. I think that gradually changes. I still believe that, when it comes down to it, I'm not talking about Iowa or New Hampshire, but you and I both know the race doesn't get won in those states. But I do think eventually, even his voters will either calm down a little bit, or they will start to think about, okay, well, who is really going to have the best chance in the general election, and who is really presidential.
Trey, does this damage the Republican brand at all?
Yes, in the general election it does, for sure. I mean, the Republicans have had a problem over the last few cycles anyway of being that kind of viewed as by independent voters as the party that is against people, whether it's gay marriage or women's issues. I mean, they just have that reputation and that stigma. This doesn't help, clearly. So even if it's one person, the fact that he is doing so well, I think, does not help Republicans in a general election at all.
Trey Harden, chicken soup. That's what
Yes,
you want.
Thank you. I need it.
Yes, here you go. All right, have a good day, Trey. Thanks for
Okay,
checking in. ABC News political analyst Brad Melke's up in New Hampshire. We'll have more reaction from Donald Trump's comments, and Scott Crothers will check markets here coming up in exactly 10 minutes. It's 6:25, Big 550, KTRS.